Okay, well, once again, thank you everyone for joining us. Welcome, welcome, and happy Wednesday. My name is Andrea Cox with Getting Your Affairs in Order, and we support our clients and adult children with their aging parents to set up an exit plan before a crisis. Now, I have the privilege here to introducing our next speaker, who is Cher Cunningham. And she is a business hypnotist who helps entrepreneurs take strategic action on their bold vision, tackle the fears, anxiety, and doubt of survival mind, beat the permission paradigm. Cher, once again, thank you for joining us today, and we invite you to take the mic.
Thank you so much, Andrea. It feels so good to be together at our national conference. It sounds like there is a real positive vibe in the air as we look to bounce back better in the new normal. And I'm so happy to be here to share with you today. Why? Because my mission is to help entrepreneurs get into action. And after so much uncertainty and anxiety and lockdown, a lot of entrepreneurs are struggling. So it's not just you if you are finding that your stress level is a little higher than you'd like it to be. Can we agree that massive results come from action? If I can just get a yes in the chat, that would be fantastic, just to make sure I know that you are here. I've got to view the waiting room and admit some people and juggle a little bit. Here we go. There we go. Yes, action creates results. Sometimes we get into a little bit of magical thinking and we're like, I don't know why I'm not getting the results. Well, are you doing the doing? And imposter thoughts are those thoughts that crop up and hold us back. If you have ever said, oh, I can't call that person, I can't ask for that huge referral, I can't reach out to that amazing referral partner, I can't ask for help, you know what I am talking about. They sneak up and they hold you back, and it is dreadful. So I want to share how to get out of that, how to get into action. I'm going to share a little bit of a story about Norbert and what helped him go from a struggling business that he felt he was failing to $1 million business in the first 3 months of just taking control, and then a multi-million-dollar business in a year. Right, look at this, my slides are moving, that's great. So powerful impact is not about doing more. It is actually about doing less. When you are a business owner, it is massive, tiny actions. It's not that Caribbean retreat that you go on to do the planning for 2 weeks. Do the Caribbean retreat, but don't do the business planning there. Make this part of your daily life. The daily, tiny actions you take are where powerful impact comes from. Massive focus, not scattering yourself, doing all things for all people, but knowing where to focus. Massive confidence. Brilliant and bold is your natural state, and anything else is just a lie. You are naturally confident. So if anything's getting in the way of that, deal with it and clear it out. As a business hypnotist, this is something that I love helping people with. And then all of you BNI peeps out there, massive collaboration, right? We know that collaboration is what's going to build our impact. You hear all the stories about 10x this and 10x that. This is our 10x. Massively focused and massively collaborate. It's about finding more time as well as you begin to work smarter. This is a lot easier if, oh, don't know if I just lost somebody or admitted them to the session. This is a fun juggling act I'm doing here today. So with all of these, we can build ease and momentum. So I want to share very quickly. I wish I had 6 hours with you today. I have 30 minutes. So I am going to share and touch on these very quickly as we go along. What does this pyramid, Dilt's logical levels of thinking, tell you? You've heard about higher order change. This is where that comes from and how you achieve it. Why it's true that 80% of your success is
listening. I can grab him.
So there's a corporate version of this as well that explains why it's true that culture is strategy for breakfast. And somebody's not muted. If you could mute yourself, that would be lovely. I have a feeling it might be Julie. Each level directly affects the level below it. So your purpose affects your identity affects your values affect your competence affect your behaviors that you can do, and those create your environment. Your environment is a little bit weird though, because your environment can also create your behaviors. We create our environment, and then our environment creates us. Benjamin Hardy, brilliant man, was quoted as saying that. So as we change our environment, we will find that our behaviors change depending on the environment we're in. So as we explain this, your behaviors, 95% of your behaviors, your actions, are also automatic and unconscious. So changing your behavior at the behavior level is so hard. If you have ever changed a behavior and it was easy to do, where you're like, yeah, that was fine. I learned a better way and I just started to do it. It was easy. It was effortless. That is awesome. It meant that all of your levels were aligned. That behavior was something you had the skill to do. It mattered to you. And you told yourself, you know what? I'm the kind of person who does that. And your purpose did not get interfered with as you did it. But if you've had challenges, there's something you really know that you should do, and it would be good for you, and you would be proud of it, but you're not doing it, like flossing your teeth every day. There is a level at which you're out of alignment with that behavior, which doesn't sound logical to your conscious mind, but at the unconscious level, there's going to be a part of you that doesn't value your health enough, that doesn't value your body enough, that values expediency in self-care over effectiveness. In neuro-linguistic programming, we call this either a part of me wants to do this, but part of me wants to do that, and they fight with each other all the time, or secondary gain. So that secondary gain of, well, I was efficient in the bathroom. Higher order change, once you have the tools, is far more powerful. This is where ease and momentum come from, especially if your identity is currently closer to the employee mindset. As Robert Scrobb was saying, that idea that you need to work harder and put in more hours versus being in that business owner mindset. And especially if you don't have the skills at the competence level to delegate with confidence. Or if you have beliefs that get in the way, like you have to work harder, or don't ask someone else to do something that you wouldn't do, or that you are the only one who can do the job right. Those beliefs get in the way of being a powerful, impactful business owner. But when you know yourself and you can work with, and that's why I love this, love hypnosis, at a competence level, within your business, the things that you do to deliver on your service or your product, you trained in, you learned about, you reached a level of competence with. If you stopped there and didn't think, what other tools and skills should I grow to be the business owner, that can be a challenge. Working at the competence level, sometimes it's just a checkbox. Okay, I'm a financial planner, check, next, be a business person. Coaches will work with you at the behavior and environment level. This is where you get that accountability coming in, setting goals, setting tasks, having things come together. And if you have a coach that works with you at the identity and values level, this is also where the hypnosis level comes in, where you easily and quickly shift your beliefs, get rid of all those old limiting beliefs so that it becomes easy and you can do a true alignment. So if you are fighting yourself, this is where the challenge is happening. It's not that you have no willpower. It's not that you're a wimp or that you're unmotivated. That's all nonsense. I promise you, Scout's honor, I was a Scout leader, it is true that you are motivated, you are dynamic, you are energized when your environment, your behavior, your competence, your values, your identity all align and it's within your purpose. I have found that to be true with every client, even the most worried. So I want to talk to you with a little story about why this identity work is so much easier. And if you have been struggling at times to be bold, to feel confident, if you've been thinking your goals are just maybe too unrealistic and you've been scaling back your dreams, then you do need to hear from Norbert. When I met Norbert in January of 2020, he was so ready for change. His business, which was a construction franchise, was supposed to be his ticket to success. He started out with big dreams and high hopes for his future, and he was a hard worker. He was right on the verge, though, of letting all those dreams go. He had a great business model, a great system, talent, brilliance, but he wasn't succeeding. He started telling himself maybe his dreams weren't realistic. Maybe he could just get to the point where he could pull a salary. Luckily, he wasn't quite ready to call it or to give up hope. And his tenacity brought him to my office. As a franchise owner, Norbert felt like he was failing the system and that his franchise rights could be pulled. He was pushing hard, but he was doing all of the things he was told and pushing too much, to the point where he was pushing potential clients away, working crazy hours all day on the job site, plus trying to do sales, manage suppliers, make connections, do one-to-ones, right? All those things that he felt he had to juggle. And he felt guilty when he was at work and worried when he was at home. And if that vibes with you, it is such a tough place that so many entrepreneurs find themselves in. And the little time he did have with his wife and his kids was just filled with stress and distraction. I'm going to share a few of his words. Hopefully this will come through.
A year and a half ago, I was undergoing probably the highest level of stress I've ever been in my life. I almost closed up shop. This isn't for me. I'm not a business owner. I'm not a businessman. I'm a contractor. I need to pick up the tools. I need to feed my family and go back to the way things used to be. The first 2 years of owning the franchise was a struggle. I couldn't break down the barriers. I couldn't navigate around the barriers. I just maintained that mindset that I had to be on the tools. I had to wear every single hat. And it created a lot of stress, tension in my life. My business wasn't growing. Actually, my second year was the worst year we've ever seen. And I knew something had to be done. I knew there was an issue. I almost gave up. And then that's when I met Cher. I feel like I've become a businessman. I have an incredible team. We've developed an amazing team. We've tripled in business. And, we took off to Costa Rica for 3-4 months. I shifted my environment and I tested the business to see, can it be a passive business? Because when I first met you, Cher, the intention was to create a passive business. Fix me, create structure, but create a passive business. And what I realized when I was in Costa Rica for just over 3 months is that we've created a passive business. And all it took was the right accountability partner, the right business coach who held me accountable, set my structure up, created confidence in me. That was huge too. I had a lack of confidence. I sleep well, I laugh, I stand in all my strengths. And that's crucial. It was crucial to a lot of our business training, was ensuring that not only I stand in my strengths, but my team members around me. So everything I learned, I've been able to pass on to my team members, ensuring that they're standing in their strengths and that they're happy doing what they're doing. Otherwise, they're not going to thrive. And then the business is going to start moving backward. And when I sit down with a lot of my professional business partners and friends, the first comment I got back was, "You're different. You've changed. There's something about you, that aura around you. I'm not stressed." I had to realize that I was a business owner, not a project manager. I've done a lot of project managing, but I'm not the greatest project manager. So what did I do? I filled that seat with someone who is 10 times better than I am at communicating with clients and at managing projects. And now the projects are going 10 times smoother.
So I wanted to share that with you because so often we have a strategy, we have a system, and it's failing, and we think that we have not created the correct business model, the correct setup. And it isn't about that, right? It's about taking those actions, trusting ourselves when you know that your strategy is right, when you know your business model is right. And we do a lot of work on business model to make sure that it matches the lifestyle you want to create. But it's important to recognize if you are struggling, if you are telling yourself things that are negative, that are getting in the way, you may not recognize them. Norbert had no idea. It was very interesting at our first session. But what was really going wrong for him? And it was really that he just didn't know how to make his business journey easy. And it is 3 pillars that I want to share with you today. First, 1 inch. Stand in your strengths. Don't try to be everything. Don't try to do the things that you are not strong with. Figure out how it needs to be done. Understand it thoroughly. And that delegation word that comes up that we could probably do a whole session on comes to mind. Get in the flow. What's the mile? What is the flow of your client journey? Because you have 1 inch of that mile. And get rid of the baggage. So it's a 1 inch mile with no baggage that is your business journey that I want to take you on. So first of all, standing on your strengths. So like many entrepreneurs, Norbert had not really thought about this. He didn't think strengths and weaknesses, and he was even afraid to look to find out maybe he didn't have as strong as strengths and maybe his weaknesses were bigger. When you have a tool and you're in a safe space to do this investigation, you always find out that your strengths are awesome and that your weaknesses can be delegated or built. I do tell people zest and gratitude, if they are weaknesses, you still have to build them because they are core to making your life happy. Know your competence. Don't be all things to all people. Don't go doing things that you feel uncertain, that you've never done before. They're not part of your offering. If somebody needs it, hey, this is a referral, right? Refer it up, refer it down. Identify what your values are, what matters to you. How do you want to run your business? This will motivate you and get you out of bed on days where you know it's a challenge that's up ahead. Drill down to the problem you solve. Like Robert Scrobb said earlier, people buy solutions to problems that they have. What problem do you solve? Know it inside out. What do people wake up at 2 a.m. with a challenge going, oh, I wish this wasn't happening? And what is your 1 inch of that customer journey? That little piece that you do, that problem you solve inside out. So the problem that Norbert's clients had was they wanted to build a dream home or cottage, but they wanted to have real control over all aspects of the design and planning. They wanted transparency on costs, to have a choice of all of the upgrades and downgrades, compromises and add-ons. This is not the same as a client who wants to buy a dream home. This is not the same as a client that just wants to build a dream home and have it built for them. I helped Norbert to really identify his business's authentic value and benefits and what an ideal prospect is. Who are they really? What do your clients really care about? What are their values? Not just their demographics, but their psychographics, and how to identify them in the first 3 minutes of a conversation so that you can get to a hell yes or a hell no and not have to take an hour to try and convince somebody who is not your ideal client to work with you. When you remove that nonsense from sales, it becomes joyful, easy, and fun. So it gets you out of problem mode. When you're standing in your strengths and you know you can turn them on, you get out of problem mode and you're focused on solution mode. You cannot go, I am strong, and feel panicked. It gets you out of reactive mode and into proactive mode, having the space and the time mentally, emotionally, and in your calendar to be proactive, to plan and to think. It means that you get to stop putting out fires and be intentional. It gets you out of survival mode so that the rest of your brain can come online. When you're in survival mode, you are just focused on survival. You don't have curiosity, you don't have play, you don't have connectivity, you don't have trust or collaboration. In fact, most of who you think you are goes offline when you're in survival mode. Those are the times where you'll say, I'm sorry, I forgot, that's not like me. I'm sorry I said that, that's not like me. I'm sorry I did that. Because that part of your brain just doesn't hold the human personality for you. So number 1 was to stand in your strengths. Number 2 is to get in flow. And what I mean by that is to say, in that mile that we take the client through, who's upstream from me, who's downstream from me. So I solve a problem. Who creates the problem I solve? In Norbert's situation, the real estate agent who sold them the teeny tiny house or the vacant lot created the problem that they solved. I have a gorgeous lot. I want a gorgeous home, right? The problem that Norbert created is that he created a beautiful home that could use maybe some landscaping, perhaps some furniture, some insurance. So what problem that you're creating is your 1 inch. You're not going to start selling insurance. Norbert's not going to become a landscaper, an insurance salesperson, and a realtor. He's focused in on his 1 inch of this mile. Make sense? So there's some obvious and not so obvious benefits to getting in the flow of your client's journey. You create win-win-win experiences for you, for your upstream businesses, for your downstream businesses, and for your client. There is nothing better than being able to say, I've got a guy, I've got a gal who'll do the insurance, who'll do the landscaping, who will do the gardening for you, right? You get some great referrals because you show yourself as someone who is part of the business community. You stay focused on your genius zone, that 1 inch. And one of the things that is really important that people don't often talk about, you have a real sense of community and belonging. That is essential for being able to show up with confidence. When you know you belong, when you know you have a community around you, everything feels so much easier. And when things feel easier, they become easier. So an example of that, I just bought windows. Why did I buy windows? Because my insulation contractor created a problem. He put spray foam insulation in my kitchen walls, and while it's lovely that now in the wintertime my plates don't feel like they have frost on them, he also made me realize that there's another room right next to my kitchen that is very cold because it needed new windows. It needed high R value windows. So he created the problem that my window fellow is going to solve on Thursday. Tomorrow he's coming. Now he's going to create a problem too. I'm going to have gorgeous new windows. So I'm going to need window coverings. I'm going to want to finish my walls. Perhaps I'll want an interior decorator to add some shelves to make this room that is now usable year round something that is attractive. So what's your journey that you take a client through, and how do you make it more powerful, more complete? So number 1, stand in your strengths. Number 2, get in flow. And number 3 is recover your powerful confidence. Because when it really comes down to it, bold and brilliant is your natural state. I don't care if you're an introvert or an extrovert. Bold and brilliant is where you were born and where you're supposed to be. You need to tie your strategy into your purpose to maximize your confidence. When you know that you are living your purpose, when you do the 5 whys, right? And I think Laura Bichard was the one who mentioned that over in the other session, those 5 whys of why do I care? Why this business? Why does that matter? And clear out the baggage. You do not need 16 suitcases of childhood baggage on this journey of business. And until you have the tools, it can be very hard. Conversations of empathy even. I mean, if you can find a coach, a mentor, an accountability partner, or a hypnotist to help you with this, it happens very fast. A conversation of empathy where you try to say out loud to a good friend, I just don't feel worthy. I can't charge that much money. You're going to see in their face, stop that nonsense. And it'll give you a significant emotional event that says, yeah, that is nonsense. Thank you. When you say out loud your baggage, it helps the baggage go away right then and there. Baggage holds you back, right? Trying to carry 16 suitcases while serving clients is pretty challenging. When you're bold and brilliant again, your bigger vision also comes back. You ask yourself better questions. Instead of how can I start drawing a salary, like Norbert was asking, to actually survive in the business, you can 10x your questions so that your brain is engaged and can see a bigger vision. And in fact, it can be easier to build a $100,000 business than a $30,000 business, $1 million business than a $100,000 business. You ask so many better questions. You create so many bigger collaborative opportunities when you stop the survival mode and move into that level of what's going to make this beautiful? What's going to make my vision come to life? And it saves a lot of energy too. No more worrying, none of that nonsense. So what's the difference that confidence makes? Well, he went to Costa Rica for 3 or 4 months, just over 3 months, and tripled his business at the same time because he took the actions that it was logical to take. He didn't do anything crazy. He just took action that was logical to, in a neutral fashion, create success. I've got a quick fun slide here on how to do imposter syndrome, because everything we do is a strategy that runs on autopilot. Our brains are pretty lazy. Loving Swiss mocha ice cream a little bit too much, that's a strategy. Depression, a set of strategies. Having a cigarette, when to have that cigarette, a strategy. When I stopped smoking, stopped doing depression, and stopped doing imposter syndrome thoughts, it was all strategy that I reprogrammed with hypnosis and NLP. I know I didn't mention the ice cream. I'm keeping that one. I love my Swiss mocha. It's my celebration. So all strategies have a positive intention, but there's often a better strategy that would get the same result or better. So to do imposter syndrome, be everything to everyone. Compare yourself to other businesses instead of to your own previous year. Focus on your needs instead of the client needs. That'll throw you into imposter syndrome so fast because you'll feel greedy and horrible. Be unclear about the value you provide. When people say, so what do you do? What's your benefits? And you go, well, it kind of varies from person to person. I'm not real sure. Tout yourself as the expert instead of an expert or an authority or a resource. You are an expert, but you're not the expert. Wage war with your inner critic so that every time your devil's advocate voice pops up, you're like, oh no, and you have to fight it and beat it down instead of asking it, okay, is this something I need to consider? When you make friends with your inner critic, imposter syndrome starts to dissolve. You actually have to do a lot of these strategies all at once in order to create imposter thoughts. And the next, fear failure. You know, entrepreneurs don't actually like risk more than the rest of the world. We just like to create, and we like to build things and serve in a way that we get to choose. High performers are often saddled with this more than people who are truly not competent, by the way. So if you're like, oh my God, I have a lot of that, you're probably not in this warning zone. You know, if you're not competent to do the thing, if you are a programmer and you've been asked to do graphic design, you're like, oh no, imposter syndrome. Well, pass the referral to the graphic designer, right? It makes it very easy when you're standing in your strengths. So identify the gap. Where are you now? This is where I put my coaching hat on. What is your desired outcome? Most people don't have a clear and powerful 3 or even 1 year vision of success in their business, let alone their life. Don't get me started there either. Worse, many people.
You have 3 minutes. Sorry. Thank you.
Perfect. Worse, many people are afraid to examine where they are now. And spoiler alert, it's not as bad as you think. As a coach, I help identify those 2 islands so that they become specific and we figure out what it is that is in the middle. And what's there? Actions you're not taking, often teeny tiny bold actions. So that gap is filled with things you are not doing, because if you could do them, you'd already be doing them, unless you just had that thought right now. So if you're ready for massive action, that will lead to new results. Know your 1 inch, get in flow, and clear out the baggage. What is that 1 inch mile with no baggage for you? What's that business model? So that you can ask for and do what you really want. Who do you want to connect to that will powerfully transform your business? What is the one thing that you can do more boldly each day to create powerful action in your business? Write that down right now and decide when you will do it. Perhaps, as Dr. Ivan Meisner said, do one-to-ones, and during your one-to-one, be bold, be brilliant, create massive action by making the big ask. Who would you love to be connected to? And last little quote, I'm standing in my strengths and I'm thriving at what I do best. It was so much of an identity shift. If you would like to get the case study for this that I've been sharing, I will see if I can pop that into the chat, but that bit.ly address is also it. Let me just see if I can find my notepad and copy and paste for you. There we go. Grab that case study, because you know what? Norbert's nothing special. I mean, he is. I love him. He's an amazing client. Everybody's something special, but he's not anything special compared to the rest of us. He just found that he was struggling and he chose to stop, and he reached out for support within his BNI chapter, much like you can too. And that concludes my presentation. I'm afraid we don't really have, I think we might have 1 minute for questions, Andrea.
Yeah, we do, just 1 minute. So does anybody have any questions? Cher, we want to just thank you so much for sharing your professionalism with us, your expertise. This was really great information. Thank you again. Just looking at the time, we'll have time for just 1 question. Does anybody have a question? Usually you'll type it in the Q&A, but it'll probably be quicker if you just unmute yourself and ask her a question.
Yeah, and I'd love to connect. If anybody wants to find me on LinkedIn, if anybody wants a free coaching call or wants to experience how easy it is to find those darn limiting beliefs and clear them out, That's just something I offer as a service because I love it when people figure out that they really are bold and brilliant.
That is awesome. Thanks again, Cher.